a guy who will be an unrestricted free agent in March, unless he signs a new contract with the Vikings before then. They can't tag him. We've talked about that before, is quarterback Kirk Cousins. I wrote something earlier today based upon his role in this quarterback series that debuts later this week on Netflix with Patrick Mahomes, Cousins, and Marcus Mariota as the focal point. And Mahomes is going to get all the headlines because he's Mahomes. Super Bowl winner, league MVP, first time since 1999 that the Super Bowl winner was also the league MVP. Kurt Warner was the one who had done that last. Mahomes is the guy, transcendent player, one of the greatest players in any sport right now in the world. But Cousins has a fascinating story, and I can't really tell how much of it we're going to see. There was a review done by a reporter, TV critic for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, that said the producers shied away from controversy involving Cousins. Peyton Manning, in comments to the New York Post last week, said that, number one, Cousins shares meetings with a psychologist. Number two, they use, in lieu of narration by Manning, various talking heads saying various things about Kirk Cousins over the course of the season to set the stage for where things were. Now, look, they were 13-4, so there weren't as many negative moments as there have been in the past, and there wasn't as much reason to doubt him. But I vaguely recall that we spent a lot of time doubting him on PFT Live. I don't know if they're going to use any of our content for that. If they want good ratings, they probably shouldn't. But Sims and I would talk about it, and he would do the he loves him not routine with me. He still does. And, you know, Cousins is such a rare example of a guy who is what he is. He's achieved what he's going to achieve. He's become what he's going to become. And there's a ceiling. Someone explained to me years ago that for every player that comes out of college, there's a ceiling between whatever he did in college and the Hall of Fame. And the pro career is an effort to find out where that ceiling is. How often do we see a guy reach a level and then just through force of will or greater experience or improvement bust through it? John Elway did eventually with a pair of back-to-back championships to end his career after it was deemed all he was ever going to do was take the Broncos to the Super Bowl and lose the game. But Cousins is in this mode of great at 1 o'clock Eastern on Sundays in the regular season. Prime time, mixed bag with more bad than good. Big games, more bad than good. That's why his throw, literally throwing caution to the wind, literally, to Justin Jefferson on 4th and long against the Bills was so memorable because it was so out of character. And then what happened? End of the season. Everything's riding on. Playoff game against the Giants. He slipped back into the guy that we have come to know and love him / love him not, throwing the ball multiple yards short of the sticks to TJ Hawkinson, and no sense of urgency. It was just kind of a nonchalant, average, random 2nd and 7 play in the middle of October. I think that's what irked people. You didn't get the impression that he was treating that play as if it was the last play of the season, because it was. One of the criticisms that Chris Sims used to have for not DeAndre Hopkins, the guy who used to play with DeAndre Hopkins, Deshaun Watson in Houston, was that Watson plays too often like it's the 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, and he's trying too hard to extend plays, and he's trying to do too much. The flip side of that is, with essentially 4th quarter of the Super Bowl, if you have any chance of making it to the Super Bowl, you better deliver in the 4th quarter of the playoff game where you're trailing and you're driving and it's 4th down. You better act like a guy. It better scream out from everything you're doing that this is a guy who appreciates the moment and is trying to rise to it. And you just wonder whether part of the advice he's gotten from his psychologist is don't make those moments too big. Just treat them like any other play. And maybe that's what happened. Maybe he went too far toward the direction of don't freak out. Just treat it like any other moment. But still, some people rise to the occasion when you get to those critical moments in the playoffs or in regular season games. Some consistently thrive on it. They love it. Joe Burrow becomes a different guy when the playoffs roll around. And I don't know that Cousins is capable of changing at this point. And it'll be interesting to see how much of the noise he actually hears, how much of it he listens to. Because he could create a bubble for himself where he thinks everything's fine. Under his standard of success, it's fine. I'm making a ton of money, and I got a great family, and we win plenty of games, and I throw plenty of touchdown passes, and I have plenty of good statistics, and yeah, you can't win them all. We're trying our best, but you can't win them all. The other perspective is, where is that moment we're all waiting for? Where is the greatness? Is it even there? Is it going to come out this year? And if it does, the Vikings are going to be in a pickle, because Cousins will become an unrestricted free agent, and a damn thing the Vikings can do about it. And I think that if the Vikings believed that Cousins was on the verge of some mid-late career breakthrough as he enters year 12 and he was going to reach some higher level, he'd be under contract beyond this year. Paul Allen and I have argued about this. I think the Vikings want to find their Fran Tarkenton, their long-term 10-plus year starter who puts them in contention for Super Bowls every year. And if they thought Cousins was that guy, Cousins would already be under contract beyond this season. They wouldn't have made the strategic decision to just ride it out, knowing that he can walk out the door. And if he has that special season that would make the Vikings say, okay, he's our guy, he may be gone before they can do anything to keep him in Minnesota. But we'll see. It's look, for as compelling as I think Kirk Cousins' treatment under this quarterback series will be for 2022, hopefully they did a follow-up with Cousins, because it could be even more intriguing and compelling and revealing for 2023.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.